Everybody will call this meeting to order. Ms. Honor, roll call, please.
Commissioner Sanchez.
Here.
Commissioner Gandy.
Here.
Commissioner Trujillo.
Here.
Commissioner Butcher.
Here.
And Mayor Campos.
Here. Now, Commissioner Sanchez will lead us in the invocation and the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
Please bow your head with me. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for giving us the opportunity to be here this evening. Thank you for your presence in our life. Ask that you would help us as we go through our city agenda. Those things that we approve of may be good for our city. Those that we disapprove of may it also be good for our city. Father, we just thank you for our city commission, the hard work they do, their dedication. Thank you for our city staff, our city manager. Thank you for each one of the employees for the city of Lovington. We ask that you would keep each one, keep our policemen, our firemen, as they go about doing their duty. Father, all of these things we are just aware of, that there are things that need to be done, and with your help we can do all of these things. Ask that you would just help us tonight. Help each one of our soldiers, men and women that are out there fighting for us, to keep us safe. That you would just help each one of them, Lord, as they go about their tasks. Father, all of these things we ask in the name of Jesus, thy Son. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I salute the flag of the state of New Mexico, the symbol of perfect friendship among united cultures.
Thank you, Commissioner. You didn't even lip sync that, did you? You got it down. All right. Do we have a motion for approval of the agenda?
I'll make that motion.
Second. Just wait.
Did we have a
There's a correction.
There's a amendment.
amendment? What was the amendment?
We're removing resolution.
Oh, yeah, red light. Okay. Amended that we remove consideration resolution 21780.
I'll second that.
All right, so we have a motion to approve the agenda with contention of removing resolution 2017-80. We have a first and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Do I have a motion for the consideration of the regular meeting minutes of July the 10th, 2017? We have a motion and a second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Now we'll go into commissioners and staff report. Mr. Duncan.
Mayor and fellow commissioners, just to report that our 17th Street project phase 1 and our Polk and 7th Street drainage is out for advertisement and bid packets, and closing bid on that will be August 14th. Other than that, that's all of that.
What did we have over by his house the other day? Friday.
We had on Friday, they had, actually I was informed by Darren this morning that there was a 2-inch main line that had a pretty good size hole in it, that just rust ball that broke loose or some damage, so the guys were completing that on Friday afternoon.
Okay, very good.
Never lost water. That's great.
Good deal. Anything else? What?
Not that this time, sir.
Okay. How are we coming along with meters?
Meters, the
Yes,
meter
sir.
project is completely done as far as UMC or UMS, and the guys are completing the last little bit, or getting started on cleaning out some of the big meters, getting an account on them, and finalizing the remainder of the ones they were unable to get to.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right. Gary?
Well, if I may, your mayor and commission, we discovered another little glitch in regards to reading the meters that had to do with some kind of daily data sync file. And when we were working not only with the census software, but the encode software to make sure that that gets implemented, because without that file, apparently we're unable to get about 600 meters read on this last read. So it was just a bit of a surprise because both companies had everything set up for what they needed, and apparently this is something that had to happen more at with the meters and implement with the putting the meter installation. And that's as far as the details go that I have.
Okay. Did you say we got that corrected?
We're working on a correction and should
Okay.
have it resolved soon.
Okay. All right, very good. Anything else, Gary?
No, sir, except that I'm excited that it's the fiscal year end and we have the last of those state-required staff reports on the agenda.
All right, very good. All right. Those kind of things excite an accountant, I guess, right? All right. Ms. Barrera?
Nothing to report, sir.
All right. Ms. Ana?
Nothing to report, sir.
Very good, thank you. Commissioner Sanchez?
I have nothing to report, sir.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Butcher?
Only one thing, I seen the big green machine at Amos today. What, is it getting operated on again? What?
I haven't been informed of it, but I did see it there myself. More than likely, we are having, the last time it was there, the service engine light, well, it keeps on coming on. I'm not too sure if it has to do with possibly the diesel particulate filter, but I will definitely look into that, sir.
Okay, thank you.
All right, I was just going to ask about the car show this weekend. James, any idea of how that went?
It was awesome.
Yeah?
Yes, it was.
Okay.
Yes, Mayor, Commissioners, I went. It was well attended, I think.
Good.
So it was a success.
Very good. All right. Commissioner Trujillo?
No, I was just going to ask Chief, see if he'd enlighten us on this project across the street.
That's what I was going to do, part of it.
Oh, okay.
Ramirez and Son just finished today putting in the retaining ponds. We're still waiting for the fence guy to come in. They said within a week or two they should be completely done with that project. It's completely leveled out and everything. So.
Looks nice.
All right, very good. Anything else, Commissioner?
No.
Commissioner Gandy?
All I wanted to do was compliment on the car show. It turned out very well. There were some wonderful cars there. I heard they had a good turnout on the burnout competition there. I just heard some people were real excited about it. And if you didn't get a chance to see the trophies, you missed some real art. You guys turned out some really nice artwork on that stuff. So I didn't get to stay very long. I did really enjoy. There was a 56 F-150 a young man had put together, and it was gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. Other than that, something else, but I'll figure it out later.
Okay. Commissioner Sanchez?
Yeah, I just want to ask Commissioner Gandy, were there as many as last year entries?
I want to say there was about the same, maybe a few more. I mean, the way they set it up, it looked a little different because they went down Central Street and then 90'd over down Love Street, and everything in front of the courthouse was full, and then it went around the corner, and both sides of Love Street were full. They had some vendors there this year. I know they were really concerned about mid part of the week if they were going to have a turnout, but the turnout was, once people kind of figured out what was going on, got their schedules right, the turnout was pretty good for what we had. So.
I just want to know, did the winner of the burnout get a new set of tires at least? I will hope. Otherwise,
questionable if they're borrowed or not.
All right. Chief.
Yes, I just want to introduce my two lieutenants that I promoted. I'll start off with Lieutenant Jackson. He's going to be heading our patrol division. He's got two kids, grandkids. He's been in law enforcement for 18 and a half years. Started his career at the Hobbs Police Department in December of 1998. He worked for, like I said, he worked there for 17 and a half years. He is training and working as a sergeant, also as a school resource officer. He's got different other qualifications as far as defensive tactics and stuff like that. And like I said, he just recently got promoted and he'll be headed the patrol division.
All right.
And the next one is Brandon Walker. He's our new administrative lieutenant. He'll be in charge of the accreditation, internal investigations, and our day in and day operations when I'm in absence of it. He has a military experience, 1990 2001 with the Navy, as the load master air crewman on the DC-9 and C-130. 2002 to 2011, military police, naval reserves. 2001 to 2007, certified with the Hobbs Police Department as an accident reconstruction, radar instructor, and key operator. 2007 to 2009, also worked with the nuclear security guard for Louisiana Energy Services. 2009 to 15, assembly installation X-ray tech for Enrichment Technologies US. And he started with the police department in 2015, and his duties here have been anywhere from FTO to key operator. Like I said, he recently got promoted as well to administrative lieutenant.
You forgot to say that he and his wife make some great pizza.
Oh, yes.
I know both of these young men, and I use the term loosely because I'm older, but they're great. They're a great asset to our department. I'm proud to have you guys on board. Appreciate having you guys here. All right. So you mentioned SRO.
What about? He's a he worked for Hobbs PD as one of their SRO officers. Right. Currently, we have one, if not two, interested parties within our department that are interested in that SRO position that came available. Okay. So we're here within the next week or so, we should have somebody set. Okay.
So they'll be ready to go before the school year starts?
As far as being up there, yes. As far as certification, it just depends on when the training is available.
Okay. All right. Very good. Thank you, Chief.
Yes, sir.
All right. James.
So, Mayor and Commissioners, just wanted to pass along Representative Rebecca Dow from Elephant Butte did pass along her appreciation for the donation of the 2 ambulances to that service over there. In addition to that, we did receive word back from the New Mexico DOT in regards to a traffic signal at Deer Duff in Maine as well as at Avenue D in 5th, and neither one of the intersections qualified. We're not getting one, sir. The traffic counts didn't meet what they call the warrant. So we're gonna, I know I'm supposed to be meeting with Mr. Shaw in the next couple of weeks to look at some other strategies. In addition to that, we asked about having the flashing lights installed at the crosswalk and school zone down near 11th and Avenue D, and DOT is going to conduct that study when school actually starts so that we have some pedestrian traffic. So hopefully we'll find out in August or September, but they told us no again, sir.
Is there any way we could just raise up funds, the whole city, and make it get away? I mean, I know it's expensive.
They're about $1 million, sir.
Yeah, I know it's expensive. I'll be willing to spend $1 million. Along with the citizens.
Okay. That's all I have.
Okay. Thank you, James. Patrick?
Nothing to report.
All right, very good. Thank you, sir. All right, we'll go into public comment time. Anybody wishes to address the board may do so at this time. If you'll just keep your comments to about 3 minutes, we'd appreciate it. And the floor is yours. Stampede. Yes, sir. If you would just identify yourself and proceed.
Yes, my name is Brian Cooper, and I just wanted to come before you guys. I know I put my name in the hat for the open position, and I just want to kind of give you a little background. I've been here for 16 years. I've done multiple residential, commercial, and industrial projects in the area. So that's the kind of background I got, and I just want to introduce myself.
Okay. All right.
All right.
Thank you, sir. Anybody else? Nobody else comes up, so we'll continue on into non-action items. Discussion of 2019-2023 ICIP. James?
Mayor Commissioners, this is the time of year where we need to look at the ICIP, which is a document required by New Mexico DFA that each municipality submits. This is just a list of projects over the next 5 years as far as where funding may potentially come from. This is a tool that we utilize when applying for grant funding, prioritizing different projects that we have, and also if there are any capital outlay funds available, what projects to submit. We need to start the public hearing process on this. During our city commission meetings, we'll have to adopt this on August 28th. So this is what we had submitted last year, even though the years have automatically moved up. So if we have any changes or on these projects, we ask that staff be contacted so we can start assembling the documentation. It's more than just plugging in numbers on a spreadsheet. It's very labor intensive, but taking our road assessment, we actually incorporated every road in our road assessment in this plan. So the total amount of projects is a little over $77 million.
Okay, very good. Any questions from the commission?
You said 77 million?
Yes, sir. I believe it's on the last page. Yes, $77,708,024.
Thank you.
If I may, of which $4.8 million of the 77 million has been funded so far.
I'm sorry, could you repeat that, James?
We have a total of $77 million in projects, and
Right.
of that, we have funding in the amount of $4.8 million.
Okay.
And that's a combination of local, the majority of it is local funds. We do have some, about $500,000 in federal funds, and then some capital outlay appropriations.
Okay, very good. Thanks, sir. Any other questions? So the reconstruction of the north commercial bypass remains number one, correct, James?
Right now, that is. With your top five that we discussed, those are the projects that we submit to the legislature. They do not necessarily have to be project number one on the ICIP. If there's another project, we just identify where it sits.
Okay, very good.
Which we are going to begin. With that project, we are partnering up with the county to begin the design phase of that this year. And we are waiting on our CES quotation so we can issue the task order to start the design on that last remaining section of commercial, with the anticipation that next fiscal year we can start construction on it.
I know this is an open question, but how far out do you see the Lovington Sportplex?
Well, Mayor, Commissioners, that figure that we have right there, 2.8 million, talking with the design firm, they were actually anticipating about 9 million. So to be honest, it's going to be 10 years out.
Okay.
We have a lot of infrastructure improvements. Of course, talking with the one company we talked about phasing. And the biggest priority and the most expensive portion of that is just to do the dirt work to where we can actually have a playable surface, mainly for the soccer and football. We wouldn't have any of your traditional amenities, but at least we would be able to use the area for open space and sports.
All right.
But it is definitely a long-term investment.
I know since the fire range is out there, Chief, how is that looking? How's that coming along so far?
The lighting, the electrical is all completed on that. The building's up. The septic is done on it. These prisoners just got done with the decking on it, so they're working on the railings for it now. It's all installed. We're waiting for that so we can start demolishing the old building that was there, and it should be good to go after that.
All right, very good. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? All right. James, thank you for the work on that.
Yes, sir.
Appreciate that. All right, there's no further discussion on that. We'll move on into action items. The floor is open for a motion.
I make the motion to consider resolution 2017-74, 2016-2017, final quarter financial report.
Second.
We have a second. Gary or James?
If I may, your mayor and commission, this is essentially a standard report we prepare every quarter that we give to the Department of Finance. Although where this is the last one of the fiscal year, I need to make sure that balances tie out with other reports that we submit to them. For example, our budget report, which is also included in this. And they tie out. And then, of course, on the summary page, the first page of this report, one of the other things they monitor are our cash ending balances. They always want to make sure that we ensure at least 1 month's worth of cash reserve and that we've never overspent in any fund. And so we're in compliance with all of this.
Very good questions from the commission. Where do we sit right now, Gary, in our reserves at the present moment?
At the present moment, well, our general fund's in a situation where it's right around the 45%, or no, 37% reserve? I forgot. It's between like 35 and 40-something% on the cash reserve.
Okay.
Which is very good. And then the only thing that I'm concerned about, honestly, is our water and sewer cash reserve. That while we have adequate reserves for operations and everything, we're really not in compliance with our loan covenants that we have, where we need a $1.3 million reserve.
Okay. James, you wanted to add something to that?
Our actual, right now, Mayor, Commissioners, the general fund is at 41.5%. Will end this current fiscal year.
Very good. Okay.
Yay.
Thank you. All right. Any other questions, concerns, comments from the commission?
Say that again, Gary, about our water sewer reserves.
See, we have really three components that are required for our water reserves. One are all the deposits we've collected from customers, which are over $450,000. If we collect a deposit from a customer, we shouldn't spend it. It's their money. And then we also have a requirement for our loans that require us to keep a reserve that will make our annual payments, and then an additional reserve they call it equipment replacement reserve. And between the three of those, we need a little over $1.3 million that should always stay in reserve in our water fund.
And where are we with that reserve?
Well, if you look at this particular report, it shows $1,144,000.
So with the increase, we should be...
Hopefully with the increase, we'll recapture that, yes.
In the first year or the second year?
More likely within the second year. I've spoke with the loan agencies, and they give us a 12-month reprieve to be able to recapture our required reserves. So where we're falling behind, I doubt that we'll experience any adverse repercussion from the two agencies, the NMFA and the Environmental Mexico Finance Authority, because we have a loan with each one. But anyway, as long as we can show that we're doing our due diligence and that we have taken steps to increase, one, our revenues, which show that we can meet our loan covenants, and then also that we're going to meet our required reserves, and we can show that we can do that, say, within a 12-month period of time, we should not have any repercussions on that. And due to our current rate increase proposal, you know, I'm just hoping that we make it within the 12-month time, that's all.
All right, thank you.
And those two entities, Gary, understand that the current commission is doing things to I guess, mend the issue of not paying for those previous 10 years, correct? Okay.
Exactly, yes.
Okay.
So yes, the rate increase that we currently implemented is a step in the right direction for helping us to get into compliance with our loan covenants.
Very good. All right. Thank you. Any other discussion? Everybody good with it? All right. All in favor of approving the 2017 final quarter financial report, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right. Motion carries. Floor is open for the next motion.
Make a motion we consider resolution 2017-75, 2016-2017 final budget adjustments.
Second that.
We have a second. Gary, once again.
If I may, your mayor and commission, haven't got to the page yet. We essentially are looking at two different required budget reports. At year end, we have to provide to the Department of Finance an adjusted budget for our fiscal year 17, which just ended. And if you look at that, you'll notice that in our actuals, we definitely did not come anywhere near exceeding our budgets. In fact, overall, citywide, we came in below, I forgot the percentage, but quite a bit less than our total expenditures on a cash basis, which would mean just each month individually. The revenues, of course, while we were hoping for a little better with the GRT, predominantly the GRT and the reduction in sales in that area had impacted not only our general fund for having less revenues than we predicted, but also our fuel tax, the economic development fund, and of course our capital improvement projects funds. However, they're all pretty healthy thanks to our conservative spending efforts and what we've done in that stage. The larger amount of the budgets really are than what we're showing year-to-date actual really stem from the fact that I know that our auditors at year-end will make accruals for our annual financial report, and they always like to show that we were planning ahead for those accruals and that we have enough budget to cover those. And I learned that a couple years ago from them. Gary, make sure you budget for those. We're going to do it. It's like, okay. If you have any other questions, I can answer them for you.
Yeah, if you don't mind, you or James could answer this. How is GRT looking as of late?
I didn't really look at the most recent one.
Mayor, Commissioners, actually, it seems to have stabilized. It's our last report, I believe it was a total of $506,000 is what our distribution was this month. So it's not decreasing, but it's not increasing as rapidly as we would like, but being realistic, we did budget accordingly. And if I may add, you know, our expenditures, we actually came in $2.8 million below budget. And the reason we did that was we realized the revenues that we had budgeted were not going to come in. So as Gary had said, on the cash basis, $2.8 million reduction in expenditures, and that was just an entire team effort throughout for every city employee from the top to the bottom, contributing to make sure that we made our budget, our amended budget. So I know those employees, if you see one out there on the street, please thank them for making sure that we stay financially solid.
And we want to thank you and those employees publicly as well, and Gary and everybody's involved in the process. Thank you. Any other questions from the commission? All right. All in favor of approving the final budget adjustments, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Floor is open for the next resolution.
I'd like to make a motion to consider resolution 2017-76, 2017-2018 final budget adoption.
Second.
We have a second by Commissioner Trujillo. All right, very good. Gary?
If I may, your Mayor and Commission, we've been through the budget process on this fiscal year a couple of times already. And fortunately, a couple of things that occurred from our first presentation. One, in completing the state required forms, realized that we actually were not using the proper valuations of our city property. So we have an increase of almost $90,000 in general fund revenue in the general fund that are reflected in this final budget. And then what was the other one? It was, okay, I forgot what the other one was. I didn't write it down. But the big thing is we're better off than our original presentation on this, and we can see that we're planning on ending up at 27.46% in our general fund cash reserve, which is a big positive.
I'm sorry, Gary, could you explain again the difference for us being above where we were supposed to be? What the reason for that?
Well, related to the general fund, and I always pick on it because it's the go-to fund. When any other fund doesn't have enough money, it's always our general fund that has to cover any shortfalls. Right. Fortunately, in this case, we actually have only two funds that besides the general fund that rely on revenues from the general fund. One is the senior programs, and that's a requirement just for the federal funding that we receive with the senior programs. We always have to contribute almost 50% for most everything that they do. So while we have basically a $440,000 budget for the senior programs, we've got to cough up out of the general fund $220,000 to pay for that. And then we have our youth fund for our youth programs. And one of the positives about that is that we have a snack bar that's been in operation, and Melinda's really been doing a good job of charging for some of the other programs. I'm trying to remember the names of those. But anyway, she has a couple of other programs that she's been collecting money on that we never did before. So while it's not self-funded, it doesn't have enough money to pay for itself, she's helping to reduce the subsidy from the general fund and what she's doing. I'm really thankful for that. But all that being said, just the normal operations in the general fund, we've budgeted conservatively and will come in with more than a 27% cash reserve. And that's primarily because we're not planning on the gross receipt tax to just suddenly recover overnight. We're still planning on the revenues coming in at real close to what they did this last fiscal year, just so that we do not overspend.
Okay, very good. All right, thank you, Gary. Any other questions for the commission? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Floor is open for the next motion.
I'd like to make a motion for resolution 2017-77, the SCNM/COG annual membership.
We have a second from Commissioner Sanchez. All right. James?
Mayor Commissioners, this is an annual agreement that we have with the Council of Governments. They provide us representation at the legislature during the legislative session. They help organize ICIP activities. They also manage various components of several transportation committees that are responsible for grants and organization in the vetting process. They also are our fiscal agent for a couple of projects that we currently have. This is a budgeted expense.
All right, very good. Any other questions? Comments? All right. All in favor of approval, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, floor is open for the next motion.
Make a motion, we consider resolution 2017-78, Planning and Zoning Commission, David Rouser, Ron Humphrey, and Brenda Garcia.
I'll second that.
Could you repeat those, Commissioner?
David Rouser, Ron Humphrey, and Brenda Garcia.
And we have a second. All right. James, anything?
Yes, sir. We actually need to identify, we have one unexpired term that ends November 2018, and then we have two expired terms, which would be the full 2 years. So we would need to identify what individuals are going to fill which slots.
Who is the in the present unexpired term?
The unexpired term was Callie Richards.
I would nominate Brenda Garcia in that position, and the other two in the other two positions.
So you're amending your motion, is that correct?
Yeah, I mean, to show that Brenda would be the unexpired term November 2018, and the other two candidates would be expired term July of 2019.
Do we have a second for that amendment?
Second.
We have a second. All right. Any other discussion? All right. All in favor of approving the motion as presented, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right. Roll call, please, on that.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Candy? And Mayor Campbell?
Yes. All right. Floor is open for the next motion.
I make a motion to consider resolution 217-79, approval of the city county memorandum for waste hauling.
I'll second that.
Member of understanding.
There you go. All right, we have a second. All right, James.
Mayor Commissioners, this particular MOU with Lee County will actually, they have been providing us payment every year, $6,000 a month to operate our convenience center so that county residents have the ability to utilize that at no charge for residential trash disposal. They have changed this agreement this year to where each municipality or village in town, or I'm sorry, in Lee County, they have individual MOUs. So what the county will do is they will reimburse us for roll-off containers and tipping fees up to $6,000 per month. So this is just a slight change. We don't anticipate a reduction in any type of revenue, but this is merely a formality between us and the county.
All right, very good. Any questions from the commission? All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Mr. Mayor,
Yes, sir.
before we make a motion, is there a typo on the next two resolutions?
Oh, an 80. You want to make it, go ahead and make it 80?
Well, no, this 18.
Oh,
This
2000.
2018.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Oh, okay.
We'll correct that as we make that motion.
Okay, just
How's
want
that?
to point that
I
out.
appreciate that.
And 81 will actually be 80, correct?
Yeah.
No,
No, we just leave that.
It's
as-
still
it's
stated.
the same, it's just a year that's
Okay,
wrong.
all right. All right. Floor is open for the next motion.
Consider Resolution 2017-81, approval of or denial of encroachment at 1308 West Polk Avenue.
Do we have a second? We have a second. All right, James?
All right, Mayor and Commissioners, we have Josue Rodriguez. He's the owner of 1308 West Polk Avenue. He was having a property or improvement location report done, which includes a survey, and approximately before.
And the
Address this.
ordinance was set up in what, 81 or whatever?
All right, any questions from the commission? Discussion?
At some point, we're gonna have to put our foot down. I don't know when you guys are gonna wanna do that, but at some point, it seems like we have a onslaught of these variances that just come every meeting. And the ordinance was put in place roughly 15 years before this building was, or structure was built. So my question to the commission is, when do we stop? So that's my only question.
Or when do we apply resources to enforce it? I think that's the magic question, because you
Well,
can
not
stop
necessarily.
anything, but if you don't have the resources to enforce it, then
That's right.
why bring it forward, especially?
Well, then you're saying that the ordinance has no teeth.
It's
so-
never had teeth, because that's
Well,
been
but you're
developed.
saying that it's fine, that if they break an ordinance and then it's brought to their attention, just because they didn't do the in-depth research to check on that before, just whether we have the resources or not, then anything that we've ever passed or will ever pass, if we don't have the resources to enforce that, there's no sense for us to ever pass that.
Or we need to
So-
amend everything. And,
Actually, I would feel that at some point, we're gonna have to tell them, look, you're gonna have to tear it down, move it back to 3 foot. You know, the ordinance has been here long enough that they should have done the research. It was there for 15 years before. And we're already 30 years after the ordinance is put in place. So whether we have the resources to do it or not, 15 years, we still may not have the resources. And we're gonna constantly have this hurdle that we're gonna have to give away, and people are always going to push that boundary. So at some point, you just say no.
How close, excuse me,
Sure, go right ahead.
how close is those garages to the street, to the property line?
Less than 5 feet.
From here, it looks like it's maybe 5 foot.
It's
4 or 5 feet.
Yes,
Mayor
yes.
Commissioners, The garage actually encroaches on the right-of-way by 3.2 feet. Now, that doesn't mean that it's encroaching in the middle of the roadway. I don't know exactly how wide that road is. It may, for an example, the road may actually be built out to 30 feet. However, the city's right-of-way may be 40 feet, so that would mean that there's 5 feet on either side. In this particular case, it may only be, it may be a 50-foot right-of-way. So, but it's only built out to 30 feet, so with the 3.2 feet, there's still 7 feet between the garage and where the pavement would actually be in.
Well, I remember doing some of those things, I mean, not illegally, when we were building houses, you had to have a minimum of 25 foot from the curb to where the garage was started. So,
well, Mayor and Commissioners, I believe you're talking about a front yard setback. I believe in this particular case, this is a side yard. But to bring up the question of enforcement, I know back then, I really can't speak to how building codes were enforced. I know over the past couple of years, now that we have individuals who are dedicated to making sure that things are permitted, we're catching a lot of these before they actually get built. So long as as the property owners are seeking out those building permits. And with code enforcement out there, if they notice something being built, they make sure that those owners are guided to us to make sure that they have those permits. But as far as something that happened back in the early 90s or even late 90s, as far as how those things were permitted and enforced, I really can't speak to that.
There was an ordinance back then where you had to have that much. I kind of feel like Scott, at some point, we have to say no. And if it means that you have to tear it down and move it back, somebody needs to do it. I mean, will they do it, or if it depends on them selling that property or not, they still have to obey the law, whatever the ordinance is. And if they don't, everybody's going to do the same thing, want to do the same thing.
Thank you, Commissioner. Crystal, can you give us some input from your perspective, please?
Now, I'm just looking at this, I looked at and talked to the utility departments and everything. There's no line there in 13th Street, water or sewer. The 13th Street easement is a 60-foot easement. The pavement's approximately 32 foot wide. So the encroachment on this side it's that 3.2 feet. With the passing of the other encroachments that we've had with newer construction being on them, I didn't see a reason in not granting this one because you guys have already passed it before. I do think that at some point we gotta do something, but that's up for you guys to decide at what point that has to be done.
Okay. Thank you.
Also, are you guys, are you guys trying to draw up any sort of recommendation or planning on how we're going to address everything that's happened in the past and how we're going to address it in the future? In situations like this, that's my big question is, who's putting a plan together for this? Because just like when it comes back to the carports and everything's done in the past, and how we're going to ensure that doesn't happen in the future?
Mm-hmm.
Or do we need to apply more, I'm echoing myself, just like I said, do we need to apply more resources to it, or are we just going to continue to have this discussion every time? That's pretty much where it lands. Because I guarantee you, you're probably looking about, I don't know how many houses, if you really went out there and measured per the way they're really supposed to be designed, I guarantee you it's probably going to be about 30% of probably what we have out there, and I don't know how we're going to go about it. We're going to be in a bunch, we're going to be tied up in legal battles trying to figure stuff out, and I guarantee it's going to cost us more to address what's happened in the past than it would for us to ensure it doesn't happen in the future. That's the way I see it. Because I guarantee everybody's going to fight us, and old Patrick, he's going to have a thick wallet.
Yeah, and the trouble I have with enforcing things that are to code now is that they're like, well, my neighbor has it. But your neighbor built it 10 years ago and there was no enforcement done on that building. So that's where my issue of, trying to get people to do the right thing is hard when there's so many people that have the wrong thing there in place and we're not doing nothing about that.
James, you have some to add?
Yeah, Mayor Commissioners, just two comments. I know to address your question, we still have to have the work session with the joint planning and zoning work session. We have yet to schedule that just because it is summer and trying to make sure folks are here and not on vacation. So that will be forthcoming to discuss those issues. Now, as far as this particular issue, I can honestly say this would not have come up had the individual not been trying to sell the property and the improvement location report came out. The title company is insisting that before they can move forward, they do have to have this encroachment granted to them. And Mr. Rodriguez is here in the back if you had any questions for him, but those are my two comments.
Thank you, Kristen. All right, any other discussion? So do we need to amend the motion to approve and deny, I guess, is what we need to do. Is that correct, Patrick?
I think it was, I'd have to have it read back, but I think it was one or the other. I can't remember if it was.
I just said approval or denial. So we can either say approve or deny right on our on our roll call, or you want me to just?
But I guess the question is, I don't know if someone is approving a denial.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I think you need to amend based on discussion to say, to grant the request or deny the request.
I'd like to amend my motion to consider Resolution 2017-81 approval of encroachment at 1308 West Polk Avenue.
And do we have a second for that?
I'll second it. We got to roll with this thing. It's stop beating around the bush. We're either going to do it or we're not. Because like I say, we're living in the past. Lovington is old. That's what a lot of people don't realize. We need to go ahead. Go ahead, I'm sorry.
I'm going to cut you off.
Yeah, he's got the floor.
Just because it's old doesn't mean we shouldn't move forward. And you're right, there are some old issues out there, but what happens is we get caught in the trap of, it's old, I can continue to do this. So I understand your stance, and I feel that the commission will move forward with the variance, because there's no leeway as far as, lines and different things like that. But it's a simple fact that we need to start to some degree saying, we have an issue, this will not stand, and, especially on any of our newer construction, we've got to deny it. This one here, I feel will pass, but I'm going to dig my heels in just to be that thorn in someone's side and vote no against it for the simple fact that somebody's got to start somewhere. It's even older than it. So.
And it is, and I think like Commissioner Trill said, we need to go back and start looking at, re-amending doing some of these conditions. I mean, lawsuits, as he said, if this gentleman, the gentleman decided, well, hey, I'm trying to sell my property. If I was trying to sell my property, I would want that amended so I can get it sold. I mean, law or no law, at the time, probably back 15, 20 years ago, the city didn't even care about that. You just built it out there and did your thing.
I remember when the code enforcer was the dog catcher, code enforcer, and I guarantee he had 5 titles and a 22 rifle.
It's
Old Mitchell.
The bottom line too is, can a city really withstand, lawsuits and stuff like that? I say no, we can't. Somebody decides, well, hey, I'm trying to get this done, they didn't want to grant it, and it's going to be a big stink.
He's going to spend more money with a lawyer than trying to move the thing back.
I think one thing that Crystal touched on is that we have set a precedent previously, and we have to consider that as well. But the question arose, who does the planning fall back on? And it's on the 5 of us here. Ultimately, we have to make that decision, but there's a lot of work that we have to do between now and that point. And so I think that's what we need to look at is make sure we get, take part in some work sessions. We understand what the residents' concerns are, what the city's concerns are, and take all that into account. And we might need to make some changes in these areas. But we're not there yet, so we just got to do the best that we can with what we got at this point. So, roll call, please.
Yeah,
I'm sorry, you have?
Yeah, one final note is that, you know, we are addressing what's currently being constructed. That, I mean, they're doing a good job, but it's only been the last 3 years that we've put resources together and so forth. And so we are addressing the current construction. It's the past that we keep arguing about. And the past is something like this. And the bad part about this gentleman is he didn't know about it. We didn't know about it until they did a survey. And if he did a survey on every kid's house, like I said, I guarantee you'd be a foot off, inch off, and we're gonna be doing every house.
Before the roll call, Mr. Rodriguez, would you care to address the commission? If you would just identify yourself and proceed.
Oscar Rodriguez. Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commissioners. It is unfortunate that when I purchased the property, that this didn't come up then. It was unfortunate the buyer before me who purchased the property, it didn't come up at that survey as well. I would really appreciate this consideration being passed for the sake of me being able to sell the home and continue to move on with my family's directions. Yes, sir.
How long have you had the property?
I've been there about 6 years. And the previous owner probably about 5 years as well. And then the previous owner was the ones that placed the structure up.
All right, very good.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions? All right, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Any other comments from the commission before we proceed? Commissioner Santos, you have anything to comment?
Are we gonna table it or are we gonna?
No, we're gonna vote. We're gonna vote.
Okay. Well, I'm ready to
Are you
vote.
ready to vote?
I'm ready to vote.
Okay, we're gonna vote for the approval of the resolution according to the motion that was made by Commissioner Trujillo and seconded. Roll call, please. Anna?
Commissioner Sanchez,
No.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy,
No.
Mayor Campos.
Yes. The floor is open for the next motion.
Make a motion, we consider resolution 2017-82, approval of the city and county MOU for right-of-way.
Second.
We have a second. James?
Mayor and Commissioners, this resolution is actually in regards to the multi-use trail that would extend from Chaparral Park, go down Commercial, across the property owned by Lee County, and then go down Central. This project is actually part of FHWA, Federal Highway Works Administration funding. They're what they call their Rails to Trails program. One of the things that we were needing was additional right-of-way, especially along the portion of Lee County Fairgrounds. I know that part of the plan for the Fairgrounds facility was to improve the landscaping along Commercial, and this would be an opportunity for improvement and also allow for the multi-use trail. Can't for some reason get the slides to advance. I'll just do it by hand. Easy. I'm all right. Move along. So if you, right now, this is just kind of an overhead. If you see the dotted green line, that's the actual property line for the fairgrounds. If you were actually to drive out there, it'd be where those curb stops are at. We're needing an additional 30 feet of right-of-way for this particular project that would extend all the way down to Avenue D. To look at the actual, let me move along here. The top diagram is just to incorporate that additional 30 foot of right-of-way where you come across Central Avenue, and then you would proceed south, and it would allow for landscaping and also a barrier along that to accommodate that multi-use trail. Whenever you get down to Avenue D, to accommodate the drainage that we have, or the drainage needs, the actual drainage canal along New Mexico 83 would have to be widened, so we would actually have a 20-foot span that would have a pedestrian bridge, not across the road. That would just be more than likely a pedestrian activated traffic light. But working with the county manager, we have drafted the MOU for this to allow us the use of that right of way so that we can proceed with FHWA planning requirements.
All right, any questions? All right. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. I'll open up the floor for the next motion.
I'll make a motion we consider accounts payable.
Second.
We have a second. James, Gary.
If I may, your mayor and commission, our the total of all the expenditures, because it wasn't listed on the report, was a total of $204,425. The single largest expense is for the poly carts with solid waste of $125,211. Do you have any questions? If you have any questions, I'm available for answers.
How often do we incur that charge here?
That's a monthly charge.
Okay. That's a lot of money for poly cards.
Yeah.
When is that contract up?
That I don't
I
know.
believe it was 2022.
Okay. Any questions from the commission? Gary, tell me about the Gray House Publishing Library subscription, $1,700. Is that a critical amount to be paid?
It's not out of line. It's something related to the library, if I remember correctly.
Right.
And it is a recurring expense. We paid it before, but if I remember, it's only a once-a-year expense.
Okay. And also tell me about Clean Tech Services, $5,489. I understand this cleaning of the buildings that are responsibility of the city. Can you elaborate on that, please?
Well, this fee does cover more than one building. It covers the library, covers the city hall, it covers motor vehicle, the senior center. It covers several of our, I'm trying to think, all the buildings it covers.
Chamber.
Oh, and the chamber. Let's see, I think. Oh, and the police department and fire department areas.
Okay.
We get a lot for what we're paying, honestly.
Okay. Now, I also noticed that the street fuel for all the other city vehicles is higher than the police vehicles. Is that pretty much the norm? They run pretty much 24/7, but...
All of them combined?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, that's not unusual either. I mean, we
Okay.
have water guys that have to go around reading meters, checking meters, dealing with leaks and things like that. The street department obviously is a mobile operation. They have to go wherever the street needs repairs and things of that nature. And we also operate vans that are related to delivering meals to seniors. And then, of course, transportation for the youth program to transport kids around.
Yes, Mr. Duncan.
I can touch on the one for the streets fuel. It actually, the street department fuel, we actually get P&D to come deliver the diesel. And they actually, Parks Department has access to fill up their lawnmowers and everything there. Water Department actually utilizes to fill up their backhoe and equipment's there also. So their fuel cost is a little bit more than the annual or the monthly cost of PDs running around.
Okay, I appreciate that.
I thought you were using street as an example. Sorry.
All right, very good. Okay, any other questions from the commission? All right.
I said we pay the bills.
Okay, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed?
Don't we need a second?
I'm sorry?
All right, second.
Oh, okay. I didn't hear it earlier, sorry.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. All right, floor is open for the next motion.
I make a motion to go into closed session pursuant to section 10-15-1 NMSA 1978, subsection H-7 regarding threatening or pending litigation, interpret Potash and Select Energy Services LLC water rights protest.
Do we have a second? All right. On a roll call, please.
Commissioner Gandy,
Aye.
Commissioner Butcher,
Yes.
Commissioner Trujillo,
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez, and Mayor Campos.
Yes, we will now go into closed session.
I knew somebody was gonna bring that up.
I was gonna tell you last few times I've been involved with the gate, the shooting range.
Last week?
Oh, I didn't know been there.
I'll get with Wyatt, I'll have to review the camera. Thanks, sir.
Do we have a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I'd like to make a motion, to go back into regular session. The matters stated in closed session were limited to only those specified in the motion for closure, and no action was taken.
We have a second by Commissioner Sanchez. Roll call, please.
Commissioner Trujillo?
Yes.
Commissioner Sanchez?
Yes.
Commissioner Gandy?
Yes.
Commissioner Butcher?
Yes.
And Mayor Campos.
Yes. The floor is open for the next motion.
Make a motion, we consider resolution 2017-83, approval settlement agreement with Interpret Potash, New Mexico, and Select Energy Service LLC.
We have a second, James?
Mayor,
Dad.
Commissioners, this is in relation to the water rights protest for movement of some rights or sale of rights and change of use by Intrepid Potash. After review by our water rights attorney, this settlement agreement has been reached in which we will no longer be able to protest this particular water right. In exchange, they will be making a $5,000 donation to the Lee Theater Foundation.
Yay. All right, very good. Any other questions from the commission? All right, all in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Do I have a motion to adjourn?
Yes, sir.